Thanks for coming. Come on in. Do you want a beer?
And we're going to start winning again.
Welcome to the Midwest Sense Podcast, where we make sense of it all, brutally. I'm your host, Andrew, and we're here to give you a voice. Are you sick of the Midwest being ignored? Are you tired of Middle America having no voice? Obviously, we need another podcast with a bunch of white dudes giving hot takes from the flyover states. I think you found your new home. Hide your kids and maybe the wife. Grab that beer. You're going to need it, and join us. Solving all the world's problems is going to be a group project.
Live from Beyond Good Reason Studio.
Hello, Midwest!
You can find us at themidwestsense.com. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Instant Grandma, Twitter, TikTok. Give us a follow, a like, a subscribe, a tickle, a slap, and whatever else people are doing online. We'll be coming out with a new episode every week, live from Beyond Good Reason Studio. Welcome back. Another Friday. Another one. Another one. Boy, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a couple weeks. It's been a grip.
I missed you, boys.
Who are you?
Yeah. What is it? May 24th.
The beard's getting thicker.
Already. It is. I just trimmed it. I hate when I trim it because then it like shrinks up.
I noticed and I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah, you can
Shrinkage is, can happen even in the spring.
Yeah. The crazy
Especially
thing,
with the beard.
Especially with the beard. You can take off like literally a half a centimeter and it shrinks like an inch. It's bizarre. Anyways, question. Why is abbreviated such a long word? Ponder that one. Today in the Beyond Good Reason studio, we have my partners in crime. We have the miserable Minnesotan, Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Thank you,
guys.
Ben. How you doing? How's your 2 weeks been?
It's been good. It's good to be back.
Where do we find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on YouTube at The Miserable Minnesotan. It's been a while since I posted. I've been focused in on a different sport, basketball. The Timberwolves are
Got some Anthony Edwards
Western Conference Finals tonight. No, nothing to share, but hopefully they win.
Ooh, all right.
If they win this series, they're in the finals, so that's exciting.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I did see Anthony Edwards tell
Charles
Barkley to get
bring your ass to
bring
Minnesota. Yeah, because he said, I haven't been to Minnesota in 20 years.
bring your ass.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thanks for being here, Ben. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming.
My pleasure.
In the other corner, we have the ever-elusive Uncle Bustin.
Howdy, folks.
Can we find you yet?
You can find me hopping on down the old bunny trail.
Down the old bunny trail. All right.
Gonna see how deep that rabbit hole goes.
Ooh. Cancelable intros. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for being here, Bustin. Appreciate it. I am your host, Andrew, and I have a confession. My name is Andrew, and I'm an alcoholic. Completely failed.
Hi, Andrew.
Oh, yeah, this was like Sober May or something?
Completely failed it.
Me too.
We were going to take a break on the camping trip. Well, at least unnamed friend and I were going to have a couple beers up there, and then I ended up just splurging early, and I don't feel guilty about it.
But
Did you have a couple beers up there as well?
Did have a couple beers up there as well.
So
yeah.
you at least did, something. You
He
promised
didn't get
something
crazy
and
up
did
there.
through.
He texted us like 2.5 weeks before the trip, and he's like, guys, I got beer.
Well, it's funny.
It was for that weekend.
I think on like May 3rd or something, we had the cast, and then after that, you had a drink. So, I mean, it wasn't too deep.
Well, yeah. Well, and
3 days in.
well, Bustin I was having a hard time with it, and Bustin kind of gave me like, well, maybe you can splurge on the weekends, and then that went well for a while, and then whatever.
Sorry, pal.
Just don't do it every day.
Don't tell me what to do.
Every other.
Now he wants to do it even more.
Yeah.
No, but really, there's something about coming home from a long day and cracking a cold one is the reward. All right. So we did have our up north camping trip. That's why we missed last weekend. But But I think we're going to try to table that and save it for a new segment. We're going to try to do a Tactical Tuesdays. So had some malfunctions with some newly built pew-pews up there, and thought it'd be fun to break it down exactly what went wrong, what we thought wouldn't go wrong and did, or yeah, I don't know, just in general talk about it. But I got to say, this was my first time camping with my own tent, like by myself in the tent. Every time I've gone, either Ben's been with me and we shared a tent, or you've been with me and we shared that big 8-person tent, or
Do you have an individual
been
tent?
with me. I mean, it's a 2-person tent, but I would definitely call it an individual tent because like 2 people, it's tight.
Yeah.
He rolls
It's tight.
around a lot when he sleeps.
I
Cuddles.
don't, but
What was all that noise then?
wasn't me.
Reminds me when we went camping that one time and we heard the creature from somewhere
Oh man.
that was outside of our tent, came by us, ran into the lake at cyber speed.
Yeah.
You heard it run into the water?
Dude,
Yeah,
it was
some sort of
on our
creature
picnic
that
table,
yeah.
like because we heard like all the metal clattering around. We kind of just left some stuff out. I'm
Drew was already hypersensitive to anything happening in the woods that
Where-
weekend.
where-
you know
were
how
you
I am
camping?
camping. I'm not like I'll be the first to admit it. I'm not a great camper. Like
He's a city
I
kid
get
sometimes
I get
at
to a
heart.
point where I just want to get clean. I'm sick of being dirty. My hands are all sticky. I want to get clean. I want to well, sticky
could
for
happen at
food
home, too.
reasons.
Where were you guys camping?
Boundary Waters, but this was it the Superior National Forest?
Yeah, it was. It was
There's a
It was little
campsite
bit
in there?
south of us, so
Yeah.
it wasn't as secluded as Brule.
This was in 2020, so we went up there.
Yeah, like right during COVID and all the
Started into the Boundary Waters canoe area, but the weather wasn't great, so we came out and found a spot somewhere that was closed for COVID reasons, and we camped there anyway.
yeah.
nice.
Secluded,
It
super
worked out
nice
great.
lake.
It was
Yeah.
probably an otter or something.
No.
You don't think so?
Are otters nocturnal?
It
thing
sounded
was
like
big.
a bear. you know?
Otters are big, dude.
No. This was like
But it
dog
was on our
size.
table, and then it jumped down and sounded like a man sprinting and then jumping into the lake.
Yeah.
I highly doubt.
And we were fairly far. We weren't, because you had to cross like the road path from
Yeah.
our site to get to the
It
lake.
was a good 15, 20 feet at least from
At
the
least,
lake, and it
yeah.
took 2 or 3 seconds till we heard something run in and splash.
yeah.
Well, a bear wouldn't have run into the lake.
Bigfoot, bro.
Adult otters weigh up to 30 pounds.
No. This had to
Total
have been
length
bigger.
is 35 to 48 inches.
What's the top speed of an otter?
Are they nocturnal?
What else would it have been running into the lake in the middle of the
Otters
night?
are cool, though. They're
I
not-
don't know. Fox, coyote, wolf, bear.
Yep, active all year
Man, bear,
and generally nocturnal or crepuscular, which is
bear.
active at dawn or dusk. So
Well, the man in me wants to act like this was a big, dangerous animal
It was a Loch
accosting
Ness
us
monster,
right
of
outside our
course.
tent. So that's what I'm going to go with.
I think
agree.
it was an otter, and I think you should have put your food farther away from camp.
Yeah, we
I
kind
think you
of
should
did
shut
that the
hell
first.
up, Justin.
No, but that trip was great, and you know, we did go up to the Boundary Waters for that first day. We'd been planning this for a while, and
Yeah.
I had gotten
such a terrible year.
wretched food poisoning, and I told
remember
Ben I'm like, hey, we're still gonna go, but like there's gonna have to be stops and concessions. Like I'm not even sure I'm gonna eat anything. Like it was a one-way ticket. Everything I was eating, it was bad. And we finally made it out to where we were, but it was windy, raining. And then all of a sudden, you know, I had all the PTSD of our Boundary Waters trip
Yeah.
with Uncle Bustin, where we pretty much should have died out in Lake
Shipwrecked,
Brule? Lake Brule?
I think it's Brule.
Lake Brule?
Yeah.
Big lake.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest up there.
Yeah. Not good. That trip was not good.
But we made it. We did it.
Yeah. And then we come back down and salvage the trip, found this nice little trout lake. And the best part about it was so they had blocked off the entrance, right? Because of the COVID stuff. We ended up finding just this like one just big enough for one car, a little alcove along this dirt road to hide the car. And then you could hike down to the lake. So we dropped the canoe in, all of our stuff in, and then canoed into the campsite.
It was sweet.
Nice.
Yeah.
No
And there was a
parking
dock
tickets
and
or anything?
everything. Yeah. we made
Beautiful
it up.
water. You could see straight to the bottom. Now we
I
didn't
love
catch.
that.
There was something they were testing trout there, or it was weird for
Yeah.
fishing. It wasn't great, but
I think it's
wasn't bad.
It's a trout. What do they call those? A breeding area.
Conservatory
they would
or something like
stock
that.
trout there.
Is it just fishery?
fish.
No,
maybe.
I think there's another word.
Conservatory.
Fishery sounds right.
Fishery or hatchery, but I think there's
Hatchery, that might
sounds
be
right.
it.
But I think there's yet another word. I don't know.
And then we went to Teddy Gooch, enjoyed ourselves there.
Yeah,
Oh,
bet
yeah.
you enjoyed your
Yeah.
Teddy Gooch.
You can get great pictures from up there.
It's gorgeous.
I jumped
it's
in
wild.
off a cliff into the Superior a couple of years ago doing that at that same park. It was a blast and definitely the coldest water I've ever been in. The lungs collapsed.
So, change the subject here, but Ben, we're going to need to do some sleuthing. I'm going to need you to do some sleuthing.
What is that?
We're going to call this the Great Midwest Mystery. Okay. Because this is code red. We're on high alert. We are on high alert. Mama Andrew knows. She knows about the cast, man.
Oh,
That did not take long.
how did she find out?
We're on like what, episode 6?
Did she listen to all the
7?
episodes?
I miss Mama Andrew.
I don't know what she's listened to. But I've heard from a little bird that she was able to find it. And
pass
I
it on
haven't
to all
said
of her friends. Please like and
anything about
subscribe.
it.
Please like
Speaking
and
of
subscribe.
friends, I'm thinking like, no offense to her, but there's no way she just like went on Googling
Well, did
and
you
found
did
it.
you send
Like,
it to one of your
no
brothers?
name, no nothing. No, I haven't told my brothers.
Weird.
Frank kind of knows we've been meeting.
Oh,
Oh, I bet M mentioned
it's
it.
probably
the
my
kids
mom.
were over there swimming. A couple.
Probably my mom.
That's why I'm singling Ben out.
Are they friends?
Yeah,
because
they know each other. That's how we became friends initially back when we were little kids.
yeah.
So I imagine Ben's mom calling Andrew's mom and being like, "I think our boys are
I think
spending
it was
too
the
much
other way
time.
around.
Your son is a bad influence on my son."
No,
they
yeah.
were talking about lesbians.
No, my mom loves the cast. She thinks it's hilarious.
Would
So
she have reached out to my mom, do you think?
probably
is she
like,
that enthused about it?
like she probably would have said something. Well, she's just that kind of person. She's a natural referrer.
Sure.
Yeah, referrer. You know, that kind of person who
She got that saleswoman in there.
Yeah.
Networking, marketing.
networking. If she likes something, she wants to talk about it, tell all of her friends. So I could see her saying, "Isn't it great? Our boys are doing a cast or something crazy." So, hi, Mom.
Hi, Ben's mom.
It surprised me a little bit.
What'd she say?
Oh, she didn't tell me. So we went to lunch
It's
the other
still
day.
on the DL then.
So
It's a family secret.
yeah, I mean, she had, because, you know, my immediate personal family, you know, I said, hey, we're just going to let this thing ride and see what happens. You know, we're not going to say
Organic.
anything. Yeah. And partly because I don't want it like in the back of my head that, oh, here's what the audience makeup is. Like, I don't want to be self-censoring. I don't want to be,
That's the opposite of what we're trying to achieve here.
yeah.
It's not Midwest sensical.
But I took Mama Andrew out to lunch the other day.
Did you write that off as a business expense?
If I had the ability to do that, I would, but I'm not contracted like that. I need to change that. So she mentioned it there, but she didn't say any which way, like she's heard it or she knew the name or anything like that. And I just was like, oh yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's going okay.
Tell you she's proud of you for venturing out.
If you record it, they will come.
So far, so good.
So yeah, so that'll be interesting. I wonder what episode she started in on, because you know, that would sway a lot of
Well, we're here.
first reactions.
We're here. We're not going anywhere.
So one last thing I wanted to throw out there at work this last week, and I've noticed a pattern. You know, my office has a bathroom on each floor. There's 3 floors, and the bathroom is in the same spot on all 3 floors. So it's just boom, boom, boom. 1, 2, 3, all in the exact same spot.
One of those where you can hear the guy above you pooping on top of you. Flush the toilet, and you're like, oh, it's coming down.
Like along
Flush
that,
twice. It's a long way to the kitchen. That's what they always wrote on the stalls.
Dude, it's
in
wild.
Middle school.
So there's one stall. There's 2 urinals and 1 stall in the men's bathroom. Okay. What's funny is if you're sitting on the, in the stall doing your morning business, and someone goes into the ladies' restroom and sits in that one.
Oh,
yeah. It's like a seesaw. You can feel them sit down, and your toilet will rise a little bit because now they're sitting, and somehow they're like connected inside the wall.
Interesting.
It's the weirdest thing ever. And there's some big women in my
clearly
office
to get
building.
that teeter-totter action going.
Yeah. A couple times I thought I was going to. I've been waiting for that thing to like crash in on the other side.
The water touch your cheeks.
I'm assuming the pipe goes up in the middle and branches out like a goalpost.
Yeah, it's got to.
Yeah.
So here's my observation though, and maybe you guys can speak to having either being the guy inside the stall or being the guy outside the stall. So I'll be, doing my business, and I'll hear somebody come in, and they will come in and they'll, knock on the door or they'll rattle the stall door and realize, okay, it's locked. Mm-hmm. Instead of walking out and just taking 1 flight upstairs to the bathroom that's in the exact same spot as the one we're in now,
right? Just
1 floor up. It's like they decide to change their minds and just take a piss, and then they leave the bathroom. I don't understand that at all. Like you could just flip a switch and I got to go to the bathroom. It doesn't matter number 1 or number 2. If it can't be number 2, it's going to be number 1. Like what? If I got to go number 2, I'm going to go upstairs and go number 2.
Absolutely.
What is this?
You're taking care of business. You're getting you're getting paid to poop on the company's dime. But what I don't get is maybe they're one of those, psychopaths who uses the normal toilet, the stall, to pee. Instead of the urinal, they're like, I want everyone to hear me. So I'm going to make things a show here.
They were just ready for a break. So they were like, I may as well go sit down and no one can find me for a few minutes.
See, this has happened. I've been at this same building for almost 10 years. This has happened so many times. There's no way it's just one of these guys that's nudging on this door has to take
eventually.
Like they have to be nudging on that door, not because they want to sit down to pee, but because they want to take a shit.
Do they work for your company?
No.
I think the first clue that you're dealing with someone unhinged is that they walk up to a closed stall door and shake it. I've never in my life seen a stall door sit fully flush.
The worst is the people that shake it and then the lock comes undone and you're having to be like, nope, I'm in here. Yeah. I'm in here.
I've had that happen once
don't do
before.
that. The way you should respond is, you did it! And then see what they do.
I've been waiting for you. No, I give them a pass on the nudging of the stall door because it's the only stall there. So you get those psychos that close the door behind them, sure. And it does kind of auto swing a little bit. So I'll give them a pass. It could easily be sitting shut when they're trying to do their thing, but it's the switching gears and being like, well, I had to take a shit, but never mind. I guess I'll just pee instead. I don't have that ability.
Such an unpleasant thing to think through that you could actually just use your sphincter to get that stuff back into position.
Did you just say sphincter?
Absolutely, I did. Just I'm gonna save this for later.
Is this a superpower though? Is this like a trained?
Well, they talk about Kegels a lot in different circles. Maybe that's in that
Do you have an elevator or just stairs?
With expertise.
Yeah, there's both. There's stairs and an elevator.
Okay. So I'm wondering if they're just peeing to relieve the pressure so that they can make it up to the next bathroom in time.
Man,
if you pee,
these guys
that prairie dog is starting to take action. You know what I mean? It's hard to just pee and then just I'm good.
That's true.
I'm good.
That's
Not
true.
every pee is a poop, but every poop is a pee.
That's what I'm saying. And if it isn't, you're a psychopath.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. How do you separate the two?
I don't know. Are they just feeling awkward and they're like, oh, I have to do something now that I've come in here. The guy's
to me
listening.
I gotta hammer home.
But it's happened so many times.
Yes, that's what I gotta hammer home. This is a 9 out of 10 times. This isn't like a one-off. This is like, I'm telling you, everybody that comes in and nudges that door, and I'm in there, it's a, all right. And then they go to the urinal, and they take a piss, and then they leave.
Here's what I think. I think they had to pee. So
I
they were
think
like, I'm going to
individual,
use
too.
this as an extended bathroom break. I'm just going to
No,
go
I
in
don't,
there
because I would look under the stall, and I'd see their shoes, and I'd make fun of them.
Fair enough.
Well, not only that, but like, there's not very many people in my office. So when one of us gets up to go, I mean, you know what's going on, and our cycles are dialed in. You know what I mean? Like
you're pretty consistent.
There's a hierarchy to it.
Yeah, we're in sync.
That's how I am
like
too.
we know who's going when
It's
and
like,
for what.
It's about 8:05.
Yep.
Time to party.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I just thought like these people are somehow superheroes. I don't know how this is all working, but
It sounds like a mystery that needs to be solved, though. So keep us posted with the updates.
Next time it happens, as they're walking out, you just go, "What's your name?"
What's your name, soldier?
Tony.
This week
You, Tony.
on Poop Mysteries.
All right. Well, we got a crazy day for on this day in history. Let's jump right into it.
This day in history.
Boom! Right away, right at the beginning. 1764, Samuel Adams writes instructions for Boston town meeting opposing the Sugar Act, laying groundwork for colonial resistance to taxation without representation. Fast forward to today, where you could not get more ironic by paying a massive amount of tax for Samuel Adams beer. His name literally became a physical product representation of everything he stood against. Now that's truly
so
progress.
sad.
It is just sad.
That kind of messed up.
Taxation without representation is as accurate to our culture today. We watched that video that you sent, I don't know, weeks ago.
Yeah.
Where we're basically paying 50% in taxes, and back in the day where they were throwing tea in the haba
For 2%.
For 2%. Yeah. And a 2% on,
We need to get back to that.
one product.
Yeah.
Their income wasn't taxed. Their property wasn't taxed. Their goods and services weren't
Sam
taxed.
Adams tea.
It was
in the river.
one product that was taxed. So it would be so cool to bring Sam Adams back from the past, bring him into the future here.
Dude, I'd follow him.
Take him
I'd
down to the
follow his
liquor store and be like, all
revolution.
right, don't say anything, but I just want you to watch me buy. Don't freak out, but there's beer with your name on it.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're done here, we're going to figure out some reparations for that. We're going to figure out some, getting you some checks, because I feel like you're owed. They're using your
Absolutely.
name and likeness. All right. But let's not say anything now. I just want you to experience me going in and buying this. And then watch his face as when you slam that beer on the counter and they scan it, the amount of tax that pops up just to get a cold one.
Heart attack.
And all the tax it costs to make the bottle and drive it to the store.
Yeah.
Well, think about what it cost to harvest the tea leaves, dry them, package them, ship them hundreds of miles across an ocean on a wooden ship powered by wind. And they're like, okay, we're going to raise the tax just to 2% because this is not cost effective for us over here in England. And America's like, fuck you!
How dare you?
I'm off my
Correct
game.
me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's an old wooden ship. Diversity. Anchorman, anyone?
Oh, man. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. Long time.
All right.
1830, Mary Had a Little Lamb by Sarah Hale is first published by Boston firm Marsh, Capon, and Leon. So Mary Had a Little Lamb is from 1830. That's what I got from that.
Makes sense.
She just took credit for the old sing song. She was just the first one to write it down and get it printed.
You know what's kind of funny? There's a movie about that. This guy, I haven't seen it yet. It's on my to-watch list. But it's about this guy who... he's like an amateur musician, loves the Beatles, and he plays a Beatles cover and sings it for his friends. And his friends are like, "Oh, that's great." You know,
No, this is yesterday. It's one of my favorite movies.
Okay, all right.
Recently.
Yeah.
What happens is there's something happens. I'm not going to ruin it.
I just know it from the trailer. So the trailer is just him. He finishes playing that song, and they ask him what it is. And he's like, "That's the Beatles song," and everyone's like, "What are you talking about?"
What happens? I'll just kind of give you the general premise because it's a great movie, but there's like a power outage and people lose their memory and the world changes, and he's the only one who remembers that the Beatles existed.
Okay.
And so the whole movie goes.
Well, he
from
essentially
there.
takes credit for it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the vibe I'm
because
getting
nobody
from
knows.
the trailer.
Nobody.
The
really
Beatles
knows.
don't even remember that they wrote it.
No, the Beatles didn't exist. It's like the world gets reset and they weren't even a thing.
Is it really plagiarism then at that point?
Fair point.
Yeah.
So, but that's what it
Check out the
reminded
movie.
me of
It's a
when
good
you were
one.
saying that she just, was the first one to take. The song's been around forever, but she's the first one who had the bright idea of like, oh man, I could just say I wrote that.
Yeah.
1844, the first telegraph message was sent when Samuel Morse taps out, "What hath God wrought?" in the world's first telegraph message. Such a deep and philosophical phrase fit to be used for the first long-distance communication. Fast forward to today, where instead of sharing our deepest thoughts or words of wisdom, we send 8-second snaps of our naughty no-no places. He contributed to the invention of a single-wire telegraph system based on European telegraphs and a co-developer of the Morse code. Was Samuel Morse.
And what the history
What
books
is sexting in Morse?
what the history books won't tell you about the original telegraph machine is he wasn't tapping that out by hand. He was with tap dancing shoes.
Come on.
Every code that he sent.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. SOS, he's just pirouetting in a circle.
What an artist. What unbelievable
He was
art.
ahead of his time.
He was really committed to the art. Yeah.
1915, Thomas Edison invents telescribe to record telephone conversations. This call may be recorded for
What?
quality or training purposes.
What year?
1915.
They recorded.
Thomas
Invents
Edison.
telescribe to record telephone conversations.
That dude did work, man. He was inventing everything.
I don't know, because so his inventions include the phonograph, the electric light bulb, the electric power industry, and motion pictures. He holds an incredible 1,093 U.S. patents in his name. But we would have to mention Humphrey Davy, who invented the first electric light in 1802.
Oh, of course, Humphrey.
Right, I'd never heard of that guy. And he also invented an electric battery in 1802. The battery might not have been 1802, but
So like 100 years
the electric
earlier.
light was in 1802. Then Nikola Tesla submitted designs for arc lighting. Edison's own low voltage design couldn't scale up to the high powered arc lighting. So Edison definitely
And now they're just making
got
crappy
the
cars in his
branding
name.
for it, but
No offense to
there was a whole bunch of other people that assisted him.
Man, I don't know if I just didn't pay attention in history class.
Were you thinking Benjamin Franklin was the first to invent the light bulb?
No, I knew it wasn't, but I didn't realize that Thomas Edison died after my grandpa was already born.
Yeah, same. I thought he was
never
way
thought
older.
that. My mind was just blown. Just
What
a
year did he
second
die?
ago. 31.
That's
Wow.
nuts. I was thinking he was in the 1800s for sure.
Yeah, no.
Maybe even earlier.
He died at the age of 84 in 1931. Was born in 1847.
Wow.
Crazy.
Lovely.
So real quick, Edison's passion for direct current, DC, over Westinghouse's alternating current, AC, resulted in a war of the currents that Edison largely lost. As AC increased its market share, Edison was forced out of his own company in 1892. The financier J.P. Morgan then engineered a merger of Edison General Electric with Thomson Houston, creating the industrial behemoth General Electric.
Behemoth?
Behemoth?
Behemoth.
Behemoth.
Behemoth for you poors.
The poors.
1930, New York Yankees legendary slugger Babe Ruth hammers homers in both games of a doubleheader, beating Philadelphia A's 10-6 and 11-1, giving him 9 home runs in 1 week.
I never knew that the A's were in Philadelphia. It's
There you
interesting.
go.
Also, I always think Babe Ruth, it'd be really interesting to see how his game would translate to today, given he weighed like 300 pounds. You know?
Yeah, right.
I mean, and there was no black guys playing back then. So
That's true.
does it really count? I don't know.
1962, U.S. astronaut Scott Carpenter aboard Aurora 7 orbits the Earth 3 times in a flight just under 5 hours. That was in 1962. Meanwhile, fast forward to today, where in the same amount of time Scott Carpenter went around the Earth 3 times, you could take 1 flight from LA to New York. Earth is flat.
No, it is not.
I don't believe this at all. I don't believe this at all.
I totally do.
I think, what's that guy's name? Johnny Bravo? The big
Bravo?
flat Earth guy that's been on Rogan a couple times. Isn't it Johnny Bravo? I think he's onto something, man.
Johnny Bravo was a cartoon back in the
I
day.
don't know what you're talking
Then maybe
about.
it's Joey Bravo. We better look this up real quick. Maybe it's Joey Bravo.
Sounds like a reliable source. Yeah, all these scientists that put in all this effort to get us into space, or Joey Bravo, your bro from the east side.
I don't think your boy orbited the Earth back in '62. I think that was fake news.
The Earth's not flat, guys, I'm
It's
sorry.
Eddie Bravo.
Oh yeah, he was a UFC fighter. I think.
Eddie Bravo. Yeah. You know what's funny? Joey Bravo is also a fighter.
The other Bravo brother.
Well, I was 1 for 2 on that one. Got the Bravo part right. In 1964, the longest home run, 471 feet, was hit in Baltimore Memorial Stadium by none other than Minnesota Twin. How well do you know your baseball, Ben?
Killebrew?
There you go. Harmon Killebrew of the
Did
Minnesota
not know
Twins.
that he had the longest homer.
Oh, yeah. Another sports ball piece
well, there was
for you.
a hill at the edge of the field. It
It just rolled down and they counted it.
kept going.
In 1978, American management consultant Marilyn Loden first coins the term glass ceiling to describe invisible career barriers for women. Because women just need other women to convince them of invisible forces that are out to get them. Of course, I'm sure she wasn't justifying her job as a consultant or using fear of the invisible, indescribable, inarticulable thing to sell her product or services. She wouldn't do anything like that.
Never. A woman would never do
That would
something
be
so
that would be
underhanded.
absurd. That would be about as
You'll
ridiculous.
get an invoice for just suggesting the thing.
Yeah, that would be about as ridiculous as, say, I don't know, an invisible glass ceiling or a firmament.
Doesn't exist.
The Earth is flat.
Just like the Earth being flat.
In 1989, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Harrison Ford, and produced by George Lucas, premieres on this
Great
day,
film.
1989. Awesome film.
The last good Indiana Jones.
The Last Crusade, which is that the face melting one? That's the Ark of the Covenant.
No, that's the first one, Raiders.
Raiders of the
the
Lost
third
Ark.
one is when they're drinking the Holy Grails at the end, and they turn into skeletons and everything. It's with Sean Connery.
I get them all. They all kind of bleed together.
It's the third one. They should have ended with this one. They literally ride off into the sunset on horses at the end of the movie.
Okay. What's the
The
one
fact they
that's
brought it
like
back is a
inside
tragedy.
the mountain with the kids and it's like all witchcraft?
That's Temple of Doom. That's number 2.
Okay. All right. That's probably my least favorite one.
Yeah, it's pretty creepy. Well, I haven't really watched. I tried to watch the fourth one, couldn't do it.
That's the alien skull one.
It's a disgrace. And then I don't know about the fifth one. It came out a year ago or something like that.
The thing that made Indiana Jones movies cool was the sets.
Oh yeah, and the adventure and all the real stunts. You can't really do a real stunt with a 70-something-year-old dude. Because
Right.
Harrison Ford's still.
I don't know.
Indiana
Biden does
Jones.
it every day.
I mean, those are a different type of stunt. And it may not be Biden.
I'm Joe Biden's husband.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when I saw that alien skull one, crystal skull or whatever in theaters.
We're talking about Biden's face?
yeah, exactly. No, the Indiana Jones movie and with Shia LaBeouf. And
I do like Shia quite a bit. But
yeah, he's a great actor. The acting wasn't bad. It was the fact that like
the special effects
90% of it was CGI and it looked terrible.
And it's bad CGI.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's what made those movies great was everything was a set. I mean, you were right there living in that moment. It wasn't like
a literal heart that he was taking
background.
out of his chest.
Yeah.
That thing scars you though. When you're like an 8-year-old kid, you don't see that coming. Oh, dude, he's going to just grab the heart out of it and it's going to turn on fire in about 5 seconds when they drop him into a pit.
Yeah.
You know, that scene didn't scar me, but the heart removing scene from Ace Ventura.
Oh, that one When Nature Calls?
Yeah. And he like rips it out, puts it in a paper bag, and then hands it to him.
Oh, that's Dumb and Dumber, man.
Is that Dumb and Dumber?
Yeah. Yeah. But either way, it's pretty.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. I just watched Dumb and Dumber not long ago.
It's just Jim Carrey.
It's all that same era.
All of the movies, it's just the title is Jim Carrey in.
Jim Carrey making faces in this one.
Funny. Fast forward from 1989 to 2016, Bill Cosby is ordered to stand trial in a sexual assault case in Norristown.
Is he free? I feel like they let him free.
I don't know. I still don't get that whole thing. I know everyone plays that interview on him with him on Larry King, where he talks about the Spanish fly, basically like a way to drug a girl, and
it was a street name for a date rape drug.
Yeah, and the way he talks about it is like as if all the guys were doing it back in the day.
They
like,
probably
you know,
and none of the ladies were reporting it.
What's creepy too, there was to get it into the sports ball arena a little bit. You guys probably never remember, but there was this player for the Vikings. His name was Darren Sharper, super charismatic, good-looking guy, made for TV, made to be a celebrity. And it came out later that he's in jail right now because he drugged up women and raped them and stole from them. Basically did a Bill Cosby before Bill Cosby. And it makes you wonder, like, why go to that level? They must have some sort of twisted kink or something. I mean,
either that or he was just the first victim of #MeToo.
Yeah, but
I don't know if I call him a victim.
Like his status,
he should be able to pull any woman
to do that.
There's a clip I should show you guys. It's another basketball player who's, I think, just like a normal Christian guy on the Nuggets, and he's talking about the pornification of culture and everything, and how there's all these basketball players that they have such easy access to women that they start to get bored with it. And so then they get into having sex with trannies and dudes and weird stuff. And I'm wondering if that happened with these people that have such a high celebrity where they have the ability to sleep with whoever they want. So then they start getting into very, very obscure things to get turned on.
Fame was the gateway drug to rape. Is that
you got to keep cranking the heat up.
It's nasty.
Too many girls want it. I want one that doesn't want it.
You can rot in jail. I'm cool with it.
Well, moving on to another black actor, 2018, actor Morgan Freeman accused of sexual harassment by several women in CNN report.
Unbelievable.
That one is harder to believe.
That one is harder, yeah.
#MeToo.
Here's a crazy one. 2018, record U.S. fentanyl seizure of 120 pounds. 54 kilos. Confirmed by police in Nebraska in April.
Wow.
Enough to kill 26 million people, one of the largest drug busts in U.S. history. Enough to kill 26 million people. So when you hear Trump say this is an invasion, they're building an army, blah, blah, blah. What is the difference between enough fentanyl to kill 26 million people and I don't know, a nuke? What's the difference?
Touché.
Pretty big difference.
What if this person
there's not even 26 million people in Nebraska.
Right.
There's probably 2 million tops.
Right. So you take out multiple states with the amount of fentanyl what if you were to take this amount of fentanyl and dump it into the water system?
That wouldn't do anything.
It wouldn't do anything?
No.
You think it'd be such a low dose per
so
person?
Diluted. Yeah, it's talking about in the 120 pounds or whatever, there is X amount of, flat doses. If someone does not have any tolerance, then a lower dose is too much for them. And that's how people overdose on fentanyl or heroin, is because they, like when people get out of prison, for example, or get out of treatment, they now have such a lower tolerance that they turn around, go buy some,
and they do the same amount they were
dose
doing
that they
before.
had been doing. Their body can't handle it.
Sure.
So if you took 120 million people with zero tolerance and gave them just that whatever small dose, it's enough to shock their system and kill their body. So it's not like they can just put it in the water.
I'm still pretty neutral on the whole drug thing. I don't have a particular, but you can't OD on weed. That's all I'm going to say. I don't know.
And the CIA is making a ton of money. Come on, let it keep coming.
That's the corrupt thing, yeah.
And then for all the race baiters out there, 2018, U.S. President Donald Trump pardons boxer Jack Johnson for racially oriented criminal conviction of transporting a white woman across state lines.
Is he the one who wrote Banana Pancakes? Can't you know that song?
No.
Different Jack
I have a feeling
Johnson?
the boxer Jack Johnson's not around anymore, but I think he did this as a way to clear his name, so to speak, which I think is pretty honorable. Jack Johnson was a black dude. So I don't understand this whole race baiting thing. You guys are watching too much CNN or Race Hustlers, but... And then we got some deaths and some birthdays. Incredible jazz musician and composer Duke Ellington, made famous again with this generation by his appearance in the cartoon Big Mouth as a very sex-positive ghost.
That's sadly the only way I know him.
I knew it. Have you watched Big Mouth there, Uncle Buster?
Terrible show.
I couldn't get into it.
It's a weird show.
It is a weird show. It's not good. It's not bad.
Bubble bears.
It just...
Yeah, Bubble Bite.
I'm basically watching it for Nick Kroll. That's about it.
He's honestly the reason I stopped watching it.
Oh, really?
I don't love that guy.
I love him because of his voices. He plays like 9 different characters in there.
Funny.
He plays, what is it? Sheila? What's the one girl's name?
It's been a long time since I've seen it.
The blonde girl.
He does like 9 different voices, but it's all just Nick Kroll wearing tighter and tighter pants while speaking.
He was pretty good in that fantasy football show, The League.
The League.
Yeah.
That's a great show. I'm not a sports ball guy, and I love that show. Taco is hilarious. Yeah. Anyways, he died on this day in 1974 of lung cancer at the age of 75. Well, maybe it should be more...
Are we applauding cancer?
I mean, we don't really know anything about him.
Yeah.
Other than that, he's a sex-positive ghost.
Sex-positive ghost, yeah.
Is that a PC way to just say he was super horny? And then they
I didn't know how else to describe it.
His horniness continued well into the afterlife.
I didn't want to just say
that
he's
seems
a
like
ghost.
something you'd say as a, 2024 article. You know what I mean?
I was trying to think of like a professional journalistic way of not just saying he's a ghost on, because he's not just a ghost on the show.
Yeah.
His purpose
he'd probably,
on the show is
like
being
Sam Adams, he'd probably be rolling over in his grave if he knew what he was portrayed as.
I mean, he was a jazz musician who died of lung cancer. He hung out in seedy
fair.
bars, smoking cigs all night.
And he's
probably picking up
reduced
women
to a show
left and right
on Netflix. That's pretty average.
Nick's character goes up in the attic to talk about his girl problems with him. And he puts on his swinger jazz, bravado and chats with him about that. So, I don't know. R&B legend Tina Turner died this day last year in 2023 at the age of 83.
Oh, Tina.
Didn't they make a biopic about her recently?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
No, that was Aunt Jemima.
No, she lost her privilege
Aunt Jemima.
years ago. She was
kind of odd that we got like
kind of way.
two black jazz R&B type, musicians died on the same day.
Interesting.
Years apart, obviously, but
kind of like the 27 Club. Have you heard of that? All these famous rock stars that died at 27.
Yeah.
Amy Winehouse,
Jimi
Kurt
Hendrix.
Cobain, Hendrix.
Yeah.
Drugs.
I was happy to get through year 27. for a
Wait,
reason.
wasn't Elvis 27 also? Was he the first?
No, I don't think so. He was older. He was in his like 50s or something, I think.
I don't think he was that old.
All right, we'll get back to you guys on that one.
Look that one up. On to birthdays. Let's give a big round of applause for Bob Dylan, who celebrates a birthday today.
Yeah, Minnesotan.
Happy birthday, buddy.
He is 83 years young today. Born in Duluth, Minnesota, Dylan is known for protest movement hits of the 60s, such as Blowin' in the Wind and Times They Are A-Changin'. Happy birthday, Bob.
Also, Elvis was 42.
42. All right. Good on you. John C. Reilly celebrates his 59th year young today. That's a pretty good impression.
That's a good one.
American actor who starred in Chicago, Walk Hard, The Dewey Cox Story, and my wife's personal favorite, Step Brothers.
It's the only one worth mentioning.
John
guacamole?
John was born in 1965 in Chicago, Illinois. Happy birthday, John. That's a great movie.
Step Brothers will always hold up. There's so many good lines in that movie.
Yeah, are you using power tools? No, it's just my toothbrush. That is not your toothbrush. Oh, okay. I'm almost done anyway. Such a quotable movie. It's great. And last but not least, G-Eazy twerks his way to a young 35 today. The rapper was born in 1989 in Oakland, California, and is probably best known for dating that other artist, chick, Halsey, who rumors of him cheating on her on tour, and they still had to perform together because they have a duet or whatever the young people in hip-hop call it when you do a song with another person. I'm sure there's
a feature.
I'm sure there's a slang
feature
term for it.
Such and such individual.
Yeah.
But not exclusively behind the scenes.
There you go. Well, that was on this day in history.
This day in history.
Well, moving right along to some Midwest nonsense. I think we got a few bits for you that you might find interesting. The Midwest ain't big enough for all this nonsense. So, I think the internet has just become a feedback loop for what gains traffic. And as an example, you know, I think humans see something and they want to belong, they want to relate, and they want to fit in with a group. Hey, look at me, I'm a part of the cult. And so whether
We're herd animals, man.
Yeah, whether they originally felt this way or not, they will make a video on, you know, reportedly feeling this way about something because they want to fit in. And so I think that pretty much illustrates the video that I want you guys to tear your eyes out to here.
Am I the only one whose narcissistic parent would show up to every single event I was ever involved in? This is one of those weird ones where I always felt like speaking about this behavior negatively could be perceived in the wrong way. Like my parent was just being supportive, and how lucky was I to have a parent who always showed up. Boo-hoo, your parent was there for you. But did you also feel like sometimes it was a bit excessive, especially if it was a bit more of a repetitive thing where maybe I was doing the same thing on multiple days in a row? Like, you do not have to attend every one. And what makes this lean more towards the negative, in my opinion, in terms of behavior, is that if I ever didn't want them to show up to every single showing of something, that was considered to be disrespectful. It was very much that taking me out of school for lunch, sort of picking me up and dropping me off everywhere I went energy, where on the surface, it seems very convenient, very thoughtful even, but it's a pattern of controlling behavior, I think, for narcissistic parents that prevented me from practicing independence and developing relationships outside of my immediate family.
Take the bus next time, you ungrateful bitch.
Can you believe that? So
what a nice way to treat your parents as a young boy that has developed into such a interesting individual as an adult.
Have you guys seen this is off topic but related. Have you guys seen the meme or like the internet culture thing that goes around when you get these young people that wear shirts, band shirts?
She doesn't know anything about Nirvana.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
she probably couldn't even name the drummer.
Guys will go around filming these kids wearing these shirts and be like, "Oh, Nirvana, nice shirt." You know, can you name one
5
song?
songs.
Yeah, name one song by them.
It's the metalheads. You know,
who? What? I don't know what a Nirvana is. You know,
a what?
Like, yeah. So here she is, probably like if you see the house behind her.
She's trying to dress like she's a 90s grunge person.
Yeah.
And probably doesn't even know what that means because I'm sure she was born after 1990.
So whatever. So if you see the house behind her, it's probably a $500,000 house. I mean, it's easily a nice 2-story home.
Yeah, she grew up in the suburbs.
Looks like she's sitting out on the deck. That's probably her parents' house. She's literally in the backyard talking her own parents.
Absolutely.
And her beef isn't that like my mom was hung up on drugs and went to prison 4 times, or that like my dad, slept with the maid and skipped out on us. Her beef is that mom and dad came to too many sports events or too many family events.
So here's my take on this because
how much more do we have to be a victim to everything? We're a victim to everything.
We've been. You're
not a beneficiary of 2 nice parents. You're a victim of 2 nice parents. I don't get the beef.
We've been very harsh on boomers on the past cast here, but this is where millennials are ridiculous, dude. Millennials at this stage of our lives, a lot of us are trying to seek out quote unquote trauma and therapy for things that are stupid. Like, this is so stupid. This is what people literally, when I was, coming up in my career, they talk about all the time. Well, I want to put in the work now so I have time freedom to attend every one of my kids' ball games because I want to be there for my kids. Like, that is such a showing of respect to your child, showing of dedication, of support. So many kids, they talk about the opposite of my dad was never at any of my ball games. Right. He was always into work. He cheated on with the secretary. Yep. Like you said, that's the old adage. And it's basically searching for something to look like a victim. And I hate that about our stupid generation is everyone wants to be a victim because it's where you get rewarded. You get rewarded for being a complete
currency
wimp.
Being a victim is an internet currency.
It is.
And
it gets views. Like we're viewing that because we're angry at this stupid situation. Sorry for showing you guys that.
Yeah, sorry to put you through that. But
at least you didn't have to watch it, I guess.
What drives me nuts is I'm trying to give, not trying because I do think it's a valid pass, but I try to give the younger generation a pass on their behavior because their parents simply weren't there. We haven't had that many generations where both parents are too busy working 60-hour weeks and someone else is raising the kid.
Like Gen Alpha now, you mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And so now we have that. So I give these kids somewhat of a pass. They don't know any better. They were basically abandoned by their parents. Mm-hmm. And it pretty much started with the boomers. But then you get kids like this who had great boomer parents who were there for her. And that's not good enough. She's on the other end of the spectrum and she's a victim of that. So she's not a victim of her parents not being there. She's a victim of her parents being there for her.
My mom, one of her good friends, had her daughter came to her and literally was saying that she was mad at her and didn't want to talk to her or have a relationship with her anymore because she fed her the cereals that she didn't like or something as a kid. It was unbelievable, dude. And it was along these same lines where you didn't listen to me as a child. I wanted Cocoa Puffs and you gave me Raisin Bran.
You didn't validate my tantrums.
You are the worst. You're like a 35-year-old woman. Get out of your own way here.
But all of my friends have mental health issues. I need to make something.
You need to find one.
I need to
Exactly, Justin. You got to find that mental health issue to add to your portfolio.
Along that line, what is the component that, because I would call that identity. I would say that these kids now have
lack of identity is what it is.
That's what all of it is, right? Like all of these kids now don't have an identity. So
And let me tell you something. It's not because her mom brought her to soccer practice. Right. That's not why she doesn't have an identity.
She brought too many orange slices to halftime.
Mom, you're embarrassing me. People are going to think we're poor because you always bring just orange slices.
You didn't bring the right flavor of Capri Sun. No, but what's the component here that's what this generation is missing is identity. So everything is an identity. I'm on the spectrum. I have ADHD. I'm gay, lesbian, bisexual. I'm a part of the alphabet gang. Like, why is every personal diagnosis an identity? And nothing, there's no constructive identities. Who you like to bang at night is not an identity.
That's the problem. Is none of those are actual identities.
Your medical diagnosis is not an identity, but it is to them.
Because they have nothing else of substance.
That it's a voting group now.
Yeah.
It's a community. So how did these things go from just being things that like I am or are a part of me to being such a large identity and who people are? That's all they are.
I think people are always going to search for identity when they don't have grounded spiritual principles in their life. So if you have, everyone talks about the God-shaped hole, you're going to try to fill it with a bunch of different things, whether that's mental illness to be accepted by people or, drugs, alcohol,
or gay
money.
Sex.
Gay sex, if that's your thing. but I think at the end of the day, if you look at
it's pretty cool, I guess.
the old school model, when we all had kind of a communal belief system, there were principles that were at the core of who we are. Your principles are unchanging. No matter what you go through, you can lean back on these principles to help guide you and give you some grounding. But now people have no principles. There's nothing they're basing their belief system off. So they're going every which way wherever culture brings them. And I think that's where
pretty fair. Yeah.
I think that's where this comes to is people are at this stage where this is where culture's at. I want to be where culture's at. So I'm going to behave this way to be accepted.
It's just the blind leading the blind.
Exactly. That's a perfect way to put it.
Unfortunate.
Speaking of where culture's at, I got another one that shows you exactly where culture's at here.
Then come with me.
It's finished.
They're still alive. We need to get them to the ship. We can save them.
Forget it. Let them die. It's not worth the trouble.
They were about to surrender.
Irrelevant. The Jedi are a threat to be eradicated wherever they are found.
So, for those listening, you may have heard what they were saying and thought, yeah. And, where they said, we need to get them to the ship and we can still save them. And no, leave them behind. And you may have thought they were talking about multiple people. They're talking about one person. This is, I don't even know what the show is. This is some Disney Star Wars cartoon, new Star Wars show on Disney Plus, Tales of the Empire. Features a non-binary character that uses they, them pronouns. So just when I thought that Star Wars was the last hope, you see what I did there?
Okay.
For solid Disney content, something great from my childhood that went unchanged. Yeah, I don't know. The next thing you know, they're going to rename the movie They, Them, Empire Strikes Back.
Well, to be fair, they did leave they, them to die, so.
That's true.
Touché.
That's true. You could
That's
spin it the other way.
That's even more of a statement.
Oh, man.
It's pretty insightful take there. You never know.
That was pretty profound. I just want to hear them redo the whole scene, which I know Mandela Effect isn't actually in Star Wars, but I really want to hear him go, Luke, I am your birthing person.
No, that's impossible. That's true. That is.
I think that scene would have been even better if they were like, we have to get him to the ship. And then you just hear, I identify as I need you
Are
to
you
use
misgendering me? Yeah, correcting pronouns with your last dying breath. Oh, man.
And you know they, them would, too.
But anybody who says they aren't coming for your kids, they're coming for your kids.
Yeah, no question.
That's a child's
Screw
show.
Disney, dude. Don't go to Disney, people. There's nothing you need to give them right now. I mean, there's nothing they're producing that is so high quality that you're missing out. If you want to watch Disney, watch the stuff from our childhood and before. It's
what's funny?
It's peak Disney.
I got a gripe to
Back
pick.
when it was racist and anti-Semitic, absolutely. Thanks, Walt.
Exactly.
You know what? I love watching those older Disney
to
movies on Disney Plus when they flash the warning before, basically saying, this was a product of the times and now we know better. And
it's like trigger warning.
It's like 1995.
Davy Crockett.
It's like Lion King.
Of the Wild Frontier.
Well, they changed, what was it, Splash Mountain because it was racist or something? Did you hear about that?
What?
Yeah.
How is Splash Mountain racist?
Because it was a slave song or something they were singing on the ride.
Gosh.
I can't even remember what song it was, but that was probably a multi-million-dollar change just to make people who is arguing or who's even bringing that up. I mean, you have to go into the archives to figure out the racism. Some of it's pretty obvious.
This
in those old
cannot be
cartoons,
a
though.
response to outrage. This has to be
proactively brainwashing.
Proactively changing culture.
Absolutely.
They aren't doing this because, oh, wow, we've received so much backlash and
Do you know
outrage
how many
for
gay
this.
people and black people and white people and all
and
people
gay black people
and gay black people, they really love Disney, let me tell you. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone had a problem. You get the biggest weirdos going to Disney World as adults without kids. Stay away from my kids.
You know what's going to be the most ironic part of that whole thing is that I bet a white person was the first one to record that slave song and got credit for it.
Yeah, like Elvis, who got killed at 42. I mean,
That
died at
could be.
42. He's alive, actually.
Yeah, really. All right, I got one more.
Do you promise?
So I just got done playing tennis in my small little Tennessee conservative town. It was a mixed doubles group. And you can see I'm dressed pretty, I don't know, mask, androgynous, whatever you want to call it. And I'm not exactly going around announcing to people in this group that I'm non-binary, so most of them probably don't know. But
I don't announce that
while
I'm
I was
straight.
There was a man there that made a transphobic joke.
Oh
And
my goodness.
It was offensive and it was loud. He yelled it across the court. And my first instinct was shame, like, oh gosh, I really, and then it was fear, and then it was like, no, screw it, I gotta say something. And so I turned to him and I said, hey, I'm non-binary, I'd lay off the transphobic jokes.
Wow.
And he said, what's non-binary? What does it even mean? And I said, the fact that you don't know what it means is even more reason that you lay off joking about trans people. And he said, well, are you a boy? Are you a girl? I said, I'm neither. I use they, them pronouns. I'm non-binary. And he said, well, it's just genetics. And I said, I have spent so many more years and so many more hours and so much more life energy researching and learning about this topic than you ever will in your entire life. I promise you, I know more about it than you do. And he goes, oh, well, I mean, it was really more of a guy joke, I guess, than a, oh, okay. And I was ready for more because I thought he was going to keep going, right? Keep going at me. And he didn't. We ended up playing for another like 45 minutes and he was very quiet. He was much more reserved. And I realized, like, I think that small interaction is going to make him think twice in the future about making trans jokes.
No, it's not.
It won't. He will just never play tennis with you again.
He just didn't want you to start crying on the court.
Yeah.
Guys, where's the lightsaber in this scene? I mean,
so hold on. There's a couple more seconds
Leave
here.
them.
Leave them there. Let's go play tennis alone.
Conservative area with all cisgender people, he's going to think twice. And I'm glad I said something. I'm glad I had the courage to say something because too many times in my life I've let jokes and offensive things like that slide, and I want to start doing better.
I'm glad I had the courage.
Yes, you caught it. You caught it. You caught it. You know, he wanted to say, I had the balls.
I'm glad
but
I had
couldn't because of the cult that he's involved with. He'd be excommunicated for using that.
I'm glad I have the
completely contradicting himself.
Himself.
Yeah. He'd be contradicting themselves.
Like, no, the dude didn't learn anything. And on the one hand, like, props for standing up for yourself. You know, I can respect that. And he didn't just like throw a fit or start screaming like some of the purple haired
He stood up for themselves. They selves.
He stood up for himself.
Whoa, bro.
Dude.
You can't keep misgendering the guy.
I'm going to keep doing
it. He had a ponytail.
My favorite part is that
they had a ponytail.
He looked like Sid the Sloth from Ice Age.
He did.
Guys.
At the tennis court, there was a dandelion. The last of the season.
They left me here all alone? They do this every year. Why? All right. I guess I could just go by myself.
Grandma misgendered me at Thanksgiving again.
Yeah. Unbelievable. I mean, who cares?
Here's what we need to start telling people is who cares? And then whatever they call you. I love how Dennis Prager says this, if they call you a name, if they call you racist, blah, 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 just say, so what?
It's the best response.
What are you going to do?
My grandpa, one of the wisest guys I will ever know.
Oh, a wise guy.
A wise guy. He used to say, he used to look it dead in the face and he'd go, so what? Big deal. Who cares?
It's perfect response.
What do you say to that? Nothing. It's done. It's over.
I care, Grandpa.
It's a great response. But it's true.
But you're cutting it off and you're showing them your cards and you're leaving them to deal with whatever they need to deal with online here, apparently.
I just don't understand this whole, like, we need to get into this big diatribe of correcting people. Like, you know what? He said a joke. You didn't find it funny. Okay. Don't laugh. You're not standing up for anything.
I don't want anyone else to laugh either.
And it's totally different too. You mentioned it earlier when you're making your identity about who you're boning or what you want to do with your genitalia. Yeah. This isn't like your race. Your skin color is something you can't change. It's inherent to who you were born as. And so to be racist is truly kind of more of a hate-filled action because you're getting mad at someone for something that literally has nothing to do with anything they could control. This is completely controlled and it's completely in your face to begin with. So if we're not okay with that, or other people make a joke about it, it's because it's obnoxious, Right.
Well, and
it's a natural response.
And you know what? Even the race thing, I maybe I shouldn't say this, but I don't even understand that one because if you don't find it funny, you still blow it off knowing that it's stupid and it's something that you can't change. It's akin to somebody calling you the wrong name. You're not going to get offended if I call you Jack because I'm not Jack. It's not true. I don't know, whatever. And I can't change it. Right? Mm-hmm. So why be bothered by someone? That person's being an asshole.
Yeah, they're an idiot.
Okay. So who's the bigger dummy here? The asshole or the person who lets the asshole bother them?
That's a good point.
Like
my dad used to
have. My dad used to say this all the time, and it took me until I got older to finally understand what he was really saying. But he used to say they're not worth the time of day, or don't give them the time of day. Being like, even you, I know they made you upset, but even you giving them that upset energy or even saying something back is too much. Now you're giving credence to what they said.
Right.
Fuel to the fire. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and especially in this case, like, so the guy said a joke. He didn't, or whatever he said, they're playing sports ball. And he didn't say it at this kid.
Right.
Because the guy was shocked that you come out and you say, well, I'm actually non-binary. What? Sorry, you dress like a dude. You have a short haircut. You're playing tennis with me, wearing masculine clothing.
You didn't see the breasts?
No, they were taped up. That's the thing. The joke or whatever clearly wasn't directed at this kid.
Yeah.
But he took it offensively anyway.
Well, because the joke was about his cult. That, it's about his
core identity.
His alphabet cult. Right. Just like we're talking about, that's his identity. Or their identity.
Well, it's kind of like turn the other cheek, right? If someone makes... What's the group?
Which one?
The religious group that gets made fun of probably the most. It's Christians, and gets
probably.
and whether right or wrong, we've let it go most of the time and just continued moving forward.
Yeah, we should start flipping tables, huh?
I had a client in the office today who asked me if I was Muslim.
Well, you do look kind of...
Yeah, true.
And I didn't get all offended by it. I didn't go on some diatribe about how
You didn't show him your prayer mat under the table?
Yeah. You should have just said, well, I'm not currently practicing.
Well, I didn't have any smart quips for him, but he first tried to imply that I was like a rich guy. And I'm like, I'm definitely...
So he started...
Definitely not rich.
I bought these clothes at Kohl's.
And I felt like I needed to follow it up.
So you're not Jewish? Are you Muslim now?
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Exactly. That's funny. But I felt like I had to follow it up with something a little bit more substantial. So I just added no, I'm definitely not rich, but I also don't have any debt. Like I didn't take out student loans. I don't have any car loans. Looking at, the vehicles he's got these two fairly brand new vehicles. I drive 13-year-old plus vehicles. Mm-hmm. No, I have one loan and that's my house. That's the only debt I have. And that's when he asked me, he's like, oh, so are you Muslim? No.
It's because Muslims can't carry debt.
Right. Most of them.
Well, if you're devout.
Devout. Yeah.
Right.
So then we had a nice conversation about that. He's got friends that paid cash for $500,000-$600,000 houses and apparently doing taxi. Driving taxi.
Oh, Uber.
And truck. I don't know how you make $500,000 to put down on a house driving a taxi, driving for Uber or Lyft, or driving on over the road trucker.
You are driving.
Just taking cash tips, that's all.
I don't know, man.
Speaking of those courier jobs, you know what I just heard today is that illegal aliens are getting jobs with Uber Eats and Grubhub, DoorDash. And the way that they're doing it, since they're not citizens and they can't apply themselves, is somebody legitimate is applying, creating an account, and then this illegal immigrant is using that account to go do the job and paying 15% to that account holder.
It's called passive income. And there's a whole course about this online we could watch.
So
we got to start a master course on this. Let me show how you start an Uber account with no money down and reap the benefits of that.
That's interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Huh.
So you could be getting driven home by an illegal alien and you wouldn't even know it.
Wow.
His name is not really...
As long as they get me there on time.
Mark.
His name isn't really Mark Jonathan Smith?
Nope.
Funny.
Never saw it coming.
All right. Well, if you have an idea for some Midwest nonsense that you'd like to submit to the show, go ahead and email us at themidwestsense@gmail.com. We'd love to see what you have to offer.
Pictures, please.
The Midwest ain't big enough for all this nonsense. All right, well, I suppose we can just skip on right over to the news.
Good evening. I'm Jaime Smith. You're listening to Midwest Sense News.
Thanks, Jaime.
Love that guy.
Awesome. That's an illegal immigrant that doesn't drive for Uber.
No.
Because he's always with us on Friday nights.
Cheap labor.
Well, the news, I would say it's light news week, but that's just not true because it's only been light for me because I've been absolutely ignoring it. But I did want to chat about this story. I know nothing about it other than that there's been a bunch of gender hubbub about it, and it involves a sports ball player. And since I'm lazy, we're going to have our sports balls correspondent, Ben, spoon feed us the story.
I love that you called me the sports balls.
The sports balls
we
correspondent.
cover all the balls.
Hey, you knew some about the baseball when we were talking about that earlier. You know a little bit about you're the sports balls expert.
I'm the normal guy here who likes sports, you guys.
Whoa. Let's not bring gender in there, all right?
Okay. Oh, sorry. The normal day anyways. So yeah, I will kind of break it down for you guys. I didn't want to read an article about this. I didn't want to watch a short about this. I don't care. You know, what I want to know is the source. So this big controversy came about when the Kansas City Chiefs kicker, shout out to Kansas City in the Midwest here. He's won 3 Super Bowls.
Please, it's too much winning.
Absolutely, it is. I don't want them to win any more Super Bowls for sure. But, you know, he's a great kicker. He was 11 for 11 in this last playoff series where, you know, throughout those games, didn't miss a single kick, set some records in the Super Bowl for distance on kicks. And he had the opportunity to speak at a college. So he's a devout Catholic himself. He started speaking to a Catholic audience about Catholic things. And so, you know, the thing is for a commencement speech, he kind of went off brand. You know, he wasn't talking about your future necessarily. He got into an array of topics. Just kind of some highlights here. He opens the speech and talks about how there was bad leadership in COVID, you know, and that's why a lot of them didn't get to experience college in 2020. And, you know, talks about how our bad leadership is reflected on the Catholic stage too, in that we have a quote unquote Catholic president who somehow supports things that, you know, like abortion, IVF, surrogacy, euthanasia, things that he says all those things, you know, he lays it out there. He criticizes the Catholic Church for people being too nice and not, you know, speaking truth. You know, as Protestants, we understand how that goes too. So it's not just a Protestant issue, but the big thing that got into the controversial territory is that he had the audacity to share that women may be happier as moms and wives.
Ooh.
So he lines up his speech. He's talking about vocation being really important. And I guess I didn't know this, but in the Catholic circles, being committed to your vocation is viewed as like one of the, at least this is what I'm gathering.
Like a core tenet.
It's a core tenet. If you're committed to your vocation and then you allow the priest to be committed to theology, so you're not really studying the theology, kind of relying on them. That he alludes to that in his speech, which is a little different than maybe how we view things. But all that said, I can kind of jive with feeling like take
a more Reagan approach to theology, a trust but verify type situation.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Me too. But he leads up to things, and his big controversy was that he mentioned the term that his wife, he said her life was, it really truly started when she began living her life and vocation as a wife and mother. And then he like literally tears up after this, talking about how she's made such an impact on his life to keep him focused on things that truly matter, despite him being an entrepreneur and having football as a major part of his life. You know, and it was truthfully kind of a beautiful thing. And he even mentions as well that masculinity is being suppressed, which we all know. And so he talks about being unapologetic against the war on masculinity. And one thing I picked out of this that was kind of a highlight for me was he mentioned, if you have a talent, even if it's one you don't particularly enjoy, you should lean into that and become better at that and pursue that, because it may be something that's God-given. And he made the mention that he's naturally an introvert, but now he's giving speeches on campuses.
Because it makes damn good money.
That for sure. And he's running a business and things like that as an entrepreneur. But those were the really big controversial things. And I want to make note, he got a standing ovation at the end of this speech. You know, these Catholics are all in agreement. He mentions even in the speech, it's a big deal that you ladies have this amazing accomplishment and be proud of what you've achieved. But you've had diabolical lies told to you about being a mom and being involved in marriage. And that's what's making all the noise. You know, you'll see a meme
that's the outrage.
That's the outrage.
That's the big offensive thing.
No one's outraged about all the other things he said that are specific to Catholic students that are he talks about the priests. He talks about traditional Latin mass and the importance of that. No one cares about that. But the other portion that is very much a Catholic tenet, they're all upset about. And what's interesting is the NFL's stance on this. So you guys probably don't follow the NFL at all.
No, but I do understand they came out and felt like they had to respond.
So they initially responded saying, the NFL's views don't align with this. These are the individual's views on a personal level. We don't take any ownership for it. And then I think there was a lot of heat that came in because more recently they've backed out on that and said, well, we offer, we're open to a diverse group of opinions and we want to have a diverse culture of thought in the NFL. It's because most of your viewers, you greedy bastards, are of this viewpoint that women should be women and men should be men. I mean, the heart of the country watches your game. It's not the coastal cities that are the big sports fans.
So now I'm getting kind of upset.
Go on.
Because I knew the basics, but you fill me in on the details.
Yep.
The NFL comes out and says, these views, we don't support these views. These aren't representative of us. You're a fucking sports ball institution. Shut the up and sit down.
Exactly.
Like, why do you have to have an opinion on everything? Well, like this guy played his season. It's in the off season, correct?
It is.
We're done?
It is.
He was part of the team that did what this last season?
Won the frickin' Super Bowl.
Won the Super Bowl. Okay. The guy's a goddamn millionaire. He won the Super Bowl. He was invited to speak at a college. Okay. You don't get to say anything about his freedom of speech, right? Yep. So sit down, shut up, run your little probably scripted sports organization and let the man say what he wants to say in his speech that he wrote that's unrelated to the NFL. He's not kneeling on the field. He's not talking in a stadium. Was he wearing his jersey?
No.
He wasn't wearing his jersey. Okay? So it's unrelated. He can exist outside of your stupid organization. And the fact that, who is the NFL to be able to say something anyways?
Here's the really irritating thing is there was this video of a former Kansas City cheerleader who was just super annoying. I don't want to make any of our viewers be subjected to that video because it's honestly horrible.
She's not even cute.
Well, yeah, she's pretty young though. So anyways,
she was until she opened her mouth.
You can just hit mute on the video.
Exactly. No, but it's just terrible to watch. But the premise that she was bringing forth was that you've been in all these meetings. You know that you're supposed to the NFL always talks about defending the shield. So defending the brand, you're a representative of our brand wherever you go, which I get if you're talking about people punching their girlfriends out in elevators like Ray Rice, and that's freaking on video.
Right.
And you'd lose your job if you beat your wife to an inch of her life, no matter what career you're in.
Then the career doesn't. I kind of take issue with the shield thing.
I do too. But here's my point is that they don't say anything. The NFL doesn't say anything for all these things that I've told you guys about. I mentioned an NFL player who was drugging and raping someone, and he was a Pro Bowler at the top of their, TV lineup probably every week. And they were going to hire him to be he was on TV for a while post career, so all this said, and we have a guy who's talking about just traditional values that at least half the country believes in, and we can't seem to identify with that.
Well, that's insane. That's my
it's
problem.
Number
one.
And that's where this progression, where we're trying to push a narrative instead of just respond to potential outrage.
If the NFL came out and said something every time one of the players opens their mouth,
right?
Fine. It's par for the course, right? Like, this is just what they do. I get it. But they don't say anything about their players' debaucherous behavior. But one guy says a nice speech, of which got a standing ovation, and now they got to come out and shame the guy for it. Backhandedly shame him for it.
Who's getting mad about it, right? It's beta men, maybe, probably, who don't watch football, and it's women who think that they need to be career driven and that being a mother is just, they're insulted somehow because they misunderstood what he said, I think. And even if they're insulted because they understood what he said, they're not your audience.
Right. Well, and so then back to the shield thing. I know I'm obviously not a knowledgeable sports ball person, but
there's not much there. It's okay.
How many people are watching because of the NFL, or how many people and the brand that they create, or how many people are watching because of their local team or the individual players on the team? Like, I look at it as more of a contractor type thing, right? Mm-hmm. Like, they're watching it because they watched this guy play college ball and now they want to watch how he does in the pros, right. or they're watching because it's their local team. You could do away. I understand you have to have some parent organization overseeing the whole thing. Fine. But the NFL sure as heck doesn't do what Dana White does. Dana White lets the sport be the sport, and he doesn't overshadow it with anything other than just basic utilitarian rules.
Well, he lets the players be the players, the fighters.
And the other interesting thing is, if you were to take
you don't watch the UFC because of Dana White. You watch the UFC because you want to see, a
good brawl.
Yeah, I don't know enough players to throw out names, but enough fighters to throw out names. But you want to watch that particular fight. You want to watch so and so go up against.
And I don't care what organization's putting it on.
Right.
The other thing is the Kansas City Chiefs. If you were to take it to just the team level, they're run by devout Christians who would absolutely support Harrison's views in this matter. The other thing is all the coaches, Patrick Mahomes, who's arguably the face of the NFL, defended Harrison, or at least didn't throw him under the bus. He's like, I might not agree with everything he believes, but I know his character. He's a great guy. I'm not going to bash him or anything. And even the coach said, even if I don't agree with someone, I don't really care. I don't agree with any of you guys in the audience, because he's at a press conference. I don't agree with you guys every week, and I'm still here to talk to you. So his team is supporting him. He's a good enough player where they're not going to cut him, and it'd be weird to be cut for that. It's incoherent that you'd be cut for that if you were to take us back to like the 70s or 80s or even 90s. It's just such a common viewpoint that women could be happy as moms and don't have to work full time.
Well, and since we're on the topic of football, I have a perfect analogy. They're trying to teach women that they should be Sandra Bullock from The Proposal. Mm-hmm. With Ryan Reynolds, where she's a boss-ass CEO, really bitchy attitude. Everybody in the office hates her.
I got it.
And over the course of the movie, she learns to love, and then she's not lonely and miserable anymore.
And she does it all within 5 years of her eggs drying up.
Cutting it real close.
Not even real close. I'd argue at the point in the movie, she's already 5 years past her expiration date.
So we're trying to get women to be that instead of being Sandra Bullock from The Blind Side.
Hold on,
I never saw The Blind Side.
Well, she
adopts that kid. Basically,
suburban stay-at-home mom. It's a sports family. Is the dad the coach? I don't know. But
even those movies like The Proposal, this is how it always ends. Right here, I'll show you this clip to kind of get home why it is important to have love in your life.
We now return to busy business lady whose life is missing something, but she doesn't realize it because she's so busy with business.
No, I cannot make that business meeting. I've got a different business meeting at 3, and we'll be doing business there.
I was wondering if you're free for coffee.
Oh, no, I can't. I've got a lunch meeting and then a meeting after lunch. After that...
Shh. Over the next 90 minutes, I'd like to show you that all your problems can be solved by my penis.
That's so great.
That's basically it, right? So all the movies show them, this isn't really what you want. This isn't everything you dreamed it would be. I mean, men don't even want to be working as hard as we have to work. We just know we have to do it, right?
Yeah. So here's what I'm wondering. Let's put ourselves in the left's shoes for the moment.
They're so wet.
And undersized.
The left's Crocs.
What?
I don't know. Who wears Crocs?
Why do my toes feel like that?
All of Congress behind those desks are just wearing Crocs.
They are all like 90 years old. So
let's pretend we're all on the left and we just watch this guy give that speech.
Watch this person give that speech.
All right. If we pretend we're on the left too much, we're never going to get through this.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hate myself. Come on.
But
then you're not on the left.
It's just role play.
So we watched this sports ball player give this speech and we're outraged. We can't believe it. This is against our cult. This is against our religion on the left. This is against everything we stand for because I don't even know why. Okay. So here's what I've seen online, and there's got to be a good debate. We got to do the math in real time here. There's got to be a good response for this. I don't know what it is, but we're going to figure it out. The response was, "Oh, look at all the white nationalists, xenophobic, homophobic Christians, you name it, right? All the insults, agreeing with this guy." And they're fine with the sports ball player standing up and saying something. But when it came to somebody like LeBron James saying something, everyone told him to shut up, sit down, stop using your platform to speak. You're only here to play basketball. Get your butt back on the court and play some ball. That's the only reason why we're here. So I feel like that's all right. That's a fair assessment. Now the part that pisses me off is their question is, what do you see the difference here? And they're playing race baiting hustler because they're trying to say, oh, here's the difference. They support the white guy because he's white and not the black guy.
Well, and also
black.
LeBron is saying this in press conferences. He's making this an outside the court. I mean,
obviously the difference of support has to do with the message
speech for crying out loud.
It has to do with the quality of the message, not the color of the person.
Well, not only that, that's the audience. This is not to the audience. This isn't to everybody at large that he's trying to talk to. He's talking to a Catholic audience. LeBron is trying to tell the world to believe what he believes. Right.
But if I'm playing devil's advocate, if I'm going to try to make all things
liberals
somewhat
advocate.
Equal. That's good. That's good. If I'm trying to play liberals advocate, leftist advocate.
Leftist.
And
we like liberals.
And I'm going to come from the aspect of he probably knew there was going to be cameras there. He probably knew this thing was going to be televised. And everybody's got a phone.
But he also knew his audience.
Well, and I'm not debating that, right? But he knew that he represents the NFL. He represents the, two-time now winning Super Bowl championship team? Three-time. So, I mean, this stuff doesn't just slip under the radar. And then the fact that this is coupled with being right on the cusp of what did we just have in the news for like a month? All those stupid college riots about what's going on in Israel.
Yeah.
So college is already being a thing in the news, and then you snowball that into graduation. So I'm not saying he did this purposefully for the publicity, but it's not like he didn't know that the publicity was there.
Right.
So how do we answer the leftist troll of the right-wing people are cool when the white guy does it, but when the black guy does it, they tell him to sit down, shut up, and play sports ball?
Well, so the biggest difference is that they invited him to do the commencement speech not because he represents the NFL. They could have just grabbed Colin Kaepernick if they wanted someone who represented the NFL. They invited him because of everything else he stood for and his character.
Did he go to college there?
He didn't. No.
Do we know if there was a other relationship?
He's a very successful, notable person who's also a devout Catholic.
Well, let me explain that part. So he actually was invited to go and speak there. He didn't want to do it, actually. Even he mentioned that, but he was persuaded by the dean.
$100,000 check.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Who knows exactly what happened, but it was more to do with his faith. But here's the thing. Lots of conservatives have supported blacks if their views align with what they believe too. So there's this, what's his name? Like Jonathan Taylor or something, that a basketball player who stood when everyone else sat down. Black, devout Christian kind of guy. And I think the Daily Wire even like hired him to do some sort of piece for their network. So
you're right there. Let's remove the race, because I like the racial component. I threw that in there because that's what they were saying, but I think it's bullshit.
It's not a bad argument.
I don't believe anybody who brings up any sort of racial component. Shut up, sit down. You're not having a real conversation. Let's so
talk
over
ideas.
that,
especially when you're talking about multimillionaires.
Well, the funny thing is the NFL is now saying
you're talking multimillionaires. Like, are you telling me no one's a fan of LeBron James?
Here's what frustrates me too: the NFL. They are now saying, "Oh, we welcome a diversity of opinions and beliefs." That's where they backpedaled.
They
backpedaled because they realize, oh, the money is here. People are actually wanting to believe what he believes, and they're the ones who pay our bills. Despite having multiple years now of writing end racism in the end zone and having all the names of the victims that were, quote unquote victims like George Floyd on their helmets or all those other African Americans who have died, they've made it a focus from 2020 till now really to end racism by posting it on their fields and making it all about race. And I'm pretty sure racism still exists. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Because it's in the hearts of people. It's not in the, just because you paint it on your football field doesn't mean a thing.
Right. So how do we grapple with the idea that this guy said something that's against the religion of the left, and so their response is similar to that on the right? Just shut up, sit down, and play your sports ball, because that's the only reason why we know who you are.
Probably would say sports ball too. Because how many people?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, it's a football? Who cares?
But I do, like, if I'm... No. Obviously, they're not asking the question in good faith.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to ask the question in good faith and say, hey, how do we be non-hypocritical about this topic?
Here's the thing. Nobody would care. On the right, even the Colin Kaepernick thing, I did not care. I'm like, he's sitting down. Who cares? He has the right at the beginning. They made it into a much bigger thing than they should have.
Yeah.
I look at it. I was
look
like,
where he is now.
Well, I know he I have a lot of issues with Colin Kaepernick because I think he's a complete grifter. But to start, he was just sitting down. He wasn't trying to make it all about him. Then he kneeled. It's like, who cares? That is a very minor thing. He's not burning down a city. Right. He's not doing anything that's really harming anybody. Us talking about it had elevated that. The right getting all up in arms about it, making it a big nationalist issue. Do we know that the
right got up in arms about it, or did the left claim they did to cause division?
I don't know who, the chicken or the egg there, but either
I can
way,
see a fair amount of people being upset, though, that, you know what, hey, show some respect. Choose a different time to protest was basically the response.
Right.
Because this moment is to show respect for the flag. You have a platform. People know who you are. You have money. Use a different moment, not the moment. This is literally a moment, right? Like, you can go out and film a documentary, which he ended up doing later. You go out and film a documentary on your own time and talk piss poor about the U.S. and racism and all that jive all you want. This is supposed to be the moment where we all unite and we give honor to the sacrifice that was made so that we can go out from this moment and spit and burn the flag if we wanted to.
That's exactly. I think that's the best take I've heard about it.
That's the beauty of this country, right? Is the same people who died for you to fly the flag also died for your right to sit there and piss on it and light it on fire in the middle of the street. And you know what? Hey, I support your right to do either of those things.
Yeah.
Not during the moment that you're supposed to be honoring the people who gave you, who fought and died to give you that right.
Here's my viewpoint on this whole thing too. Is I don't think you should censor anybody.
I think he acted as if, like, if I don't do it now, I don't get the visibility.
Fair enough. Well, and here's my thing. I don't think you should censor anybody and whatever. I don't care if LeBron says what he says. I don't think he needs to I should have the right to say you need to shut up and play your sport. But he still has the right to say that, just like I have the right to criticize him. Exactly. That's the whole point. You can't silence people. You can. That's the freedom of speech 101 is because you can say a dumb thing, I can disagree with it, and we have the freedom to have that dialogue. But when we shut up and we silence every party, then we're in a dictatorship. And so either way, if you can have that opinion that this person should shut up. I could have the opinion that maybe I think Colin Kaepernick should shut up, whatever. But to silence us together is where we get back to the point of no return, and then we're done. We're in huge trouble.
Yeah.
Which is where the left has pushed, these leftists have really pushed us to that level. You know, it's anyone too radical on either side is really wanting to push people to extremes where there's no going back.
So would it be fair to say that there's nothing wrong with the players speaking up, but all the fans speaking up saying, shut up and sit down? Maybe the fans should just shut up and sit down. And if you don't want to hear what the guy has to say, unfollow him on Twitter and turn the TV off.
Yeah, maybe Correct. The buck stops with us. Maybe we don't need to respond to the haters in the audience that are responding to the celebrities using their platform.
We don't even need to respond to the celebrity. I mean, the dude says something I don't like.
Have to,
cool. Hey, I don't drive with that. Click.
Otherwise, we're just going to keep
Problem solved.
Going to keep going in circles.
This gets back to the issue of the media in general. I think the media just cherry picks stories they want to blow
absolutely.
up. So I think this story is such a non-factor in the grand scheme of things. I think it was one of those stories they just cherry picked it, blew it up, pushed it into the algorithmic cycle, and now we're here where we want to be. I mean, and that's on the right too. I mean, that's the Daily Wire talking about it forever.
That's just media.
All this stuff.
But it's not like this speech for the commencement speech at this Catholic school was being broadcast on live TV.
No.
It was only addressed to the people YouTube, in the audience. And the only reason that anybody on the left got up in arms about it is because one individual decided to twist the narrative and say, he's confining women to the kitchen again.
And just because he believes that doesn't mean that's the case. I mean,
hey, you know what? You can still do whatever you want. Don't get married. Don't have kids. Be the miserable cat lady at 67 years old.
Kill off your generation. Kill off your family.
Hey, you're probably doing some poor guy a favor by taking yourself off the market, lady.
I support your right to stop putting kids out there that my kids have to deal with later. I absolutely support that.
Absolutely.
Go for it.
There's got to be a button for that.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
I don't know. Good talk.
Good talk.
Good times. Any last words?
Nothing on that topic, I think. Well, I guess one last perspective there that was interesting. So where I think people on the right, women on the right, maybe get their feathers ruffled a little bit too, is the thought that, he mentioned his wife's life didn't really begin until she was a mom, until she was a wife. And I can see the perspective. I can see the perspective of people like, well, I had a good life before I met my husband, before I had my kids. It's not like my life was meaningless. Sometimes you get these stories of women who are single in the church for a long time and they feel like they're outcasts because if you're not married, you're not valuable, which I don't think that's true, because unfortunately the way the church is today, it relies on women to function because there's not enough men involved in general, in that side of the society. But
I don't want to comment on the church part because then we'll be here for
I know. I don't want to get into that either.
I don't agree with the church's take on any of that, and I think the church is to blame for the reason why there aren't men there to fulfill the lives of those women that should, in their perspective, should be getting married. So
and
the church is the snake eating its own tail in that regard. Sure, they can blame themselves for that. But I find it interesting what you just said made me think. I lived a good life. Or my wife's life didn't begin until she became a wife or a mom and had kids. What if you flip that around? How many dads would be willing to say, you know what, I didn't really have a purpose or a life
Good point.
or strong responsibility
I was about to chime in and say,
kids.
Yeah, I was about to chime in and say the same thing. Not before the wife, but before the kids.
Right.
Now that the kids are here, I've realized my true purpose, and it is beyond myself. These kids are my responsibility to set up for success.
I like the masculine perspective here.
That is the ultimate life goal, is selflessness.
Right.
And the left's lie is that, like, oh, you lose yourself when you have kids. First of all, Dennis Prager, my grandpa, so what? Big deal. Who cares?
It's not all about you.
Right.
It's not all about you.
Why have we made
Absolutely.
this? And then in the equal opposite respect, it is all about you with kids, because those kids are a part of you.
Yeah.
There's nothing greater that you can leave here than kids. Your money is not greater than your kids. Your freaking boating weekends are not greater than kids who will be here long after, changing and affecting this world when you're dead and worth nothing. Mm-hmm. You're in a jar on their mantle.
And that's the thing is, just because you're the outlier, some people try to have kids, they can't. Sure, you're not going to have kids, but I fully agree with you guys.
Well, there's other ways. I don't want to overplay the kids things. Like, my point is being selfless.
No, exactly.
There's other ways to devote your life to being selfless, and you can find purpose in a charity or find purpose in volunteering at your church. It doesn't have to be about the kids. But
and when I got, for myself, I got married young. It didn't work out. I got married pretty young again, and it's like when you find that when you're unmarried, you can do anything you want. You're free. When you don't have kids, you're certainly that way. And so it's pretty fun, but it becomes tiresome. Like if you're a 40-year-old man at the bar every weekend trying to pick up girls, you're kind of a loser. You know what I mean? Like you want to be, when you have that kid, especially that first kid, it's game on. You're thinking, I need to really step up my game. I have someone who relies on me fully for income, for wisdom, for support. And in that notion, certainly with men, I think that's one of the best things that can happen to the male in general is you need to literally sacrifice, lay down your life for your family. And the men that don't do that are complete scrubs.
Here's what's funny to me. Like there's no ultimate greater purpose. It's one thing for you to survive.
Yeah.
It's kind of our most basic natural instinct, right?
Right. Like it's, you have to do that.
Survive. Okay.
You have to do that.
It's a whole nother game when your life's purpose is to allow and help someone else survive. Mm-hmm. And what's funny is the same left that would tell you that, oh, you need to be a boss bitch and you need to be, career oriented and working in the office is the same left that on the other side of their mouth will tell you that, oh, why are you working so hard? The second you die, they're going to put someone right in your place. You won't matter at all. You're a cog in the machine.
Yeah.
So which one is it?
Right.
Is my life all about my career, or am I just a cog in a meaningless machine?
Well, see, they're talking
and if I'm a cog in a meaningless machine, they're talking out of both sides of their mouth.
Two different voting bases, basically.
No, they're talking to different voters there. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. They're talking to the poor and they're talking to the wealthy, intelligent college graduates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think that you'd be like, the women can be outraged about hearing that. I want to hear some dads that are pissed off about saying, hey, you know what? You're kind of a piece of shit before you had kids. I'd be absolutely willing to say I was a total piece of shit before.
How many dads would disagree with that?
You take that as a compliment. You're like, absolutely. Look at how I changed for my kids.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, and it makes me wonder, this is going to get sexist on our podcast, but how much do men...
Oh, we haven't crossed that street already.
Yeah, I'm just, it's fun. But that said, how many men change multiple times over throughout their adult lives versus women basically being very similar? And I don't know. I mean, that's kind of what I wonder about the genders. Is that something you see? Because men, you see literally evolve many times over throughout their lives.
Men are in a constant state of maturing.
I think, it's all about, adaptability. You adapt when you have to. You overcome when you have to. And when you don't, because there's nothing stimulating you to. That's just nature. But I think that's with both genders.
Mm-hmm.
It's situational.
I don't know that is with both genders, but that's probably another rabbit trail for another time.
Anyway.
Okay, well, I'm glad we stuck around for the last word, because that was some
juice.
Some juice for sure. Juice.
Before we go, I want to
clarify.
Juice, not juice. Right. We're not talking about the juice. We're talking about the juice.
Yeah.
The juice.
Not from concentrate. I just watched this 20-minute documentary from PragerU.
During the cast?
No.
Yeah.
I could have during that whole sports ball talk that I was tuning out. No, PragerU 20-minute documentary called Dear Infidels, A Warning to America.
Oh, I got to watch that. That sounds good.
I thought it was...
Are you just bringing this up just to tell Ben and I, or what are we doing?
I'm bringing it up for the audience. Okay. You don't have to link it. It's on YouTube. Dear Infidels, A Warning to America.
Why don't we all watch it and just talk about it next week?
Yeah, we could do that too.
Okay.
Cool.
Stay tuned.
Just throwing it out there.
All right. Well, hey, that actually, that's good. Go on and watch. Plug it again. So then everyone can watch it.
Yep.
And then they'll be caught up, and we'll all talk about it next week.
Yeah. Dear Infidels, A Warning to America.
And this can be found
on YouTube is where I watched it.
PragerU on YouTube. All right. Check it out, everybody. Hey, we want to thank you for visiting us in the flyover states. Check out more at themidwestsense.com. You can find us on all the social medias. And remember, we're just hindsight heroes being idiots on the internet. Shoot us a message if you'd like to join the conversation. The Midwest has room for you too. Hey, thanks for coming.
Don't forget to check for ticks.
Don't forget to check for ticks. I
don't want to do
ticks. Drive safe.
At least not with you guys.
Same time next week.